Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Smishak's Custom Baits, Rick Smishak here. Today we're going to continue the series on knowing bass. Right as of the start of this video, we're halfway through chapter 4. There'll be today's episode and one more on chapter 4. And then there's, I think, 4 or 5 episodes I think I have notes for chapter 5 already. So hopefully in the next couple of days, I'll have all of these up and scheduled for release. There's a whole lot of stress involved when you're just like, hey, I have to get a video ready today. Oh, darn, I should have done this last week. Well, when you did it last week, or 3 weeks ago, whatever, it takes a lot of stress out of your life, right? um, but today, let's continue talking about their sense of hearing and their lateral line. Okay. As always, I will continue to refer to my notes to make sure I get everything right. And today, I'm a little bit scatterbrained. I'm not sure why. So I might refer to my notes a little more than normal. I've already rehearsed the video a little more than normal, so we'll see how that goes. Right? The water environment determines just how much a bass relies on its sense of hearing and its lateral line, just like with its sense of smell. Only in this case, it's water depth, not just water clarity, but also water depth. Deep water. Somebody went by down the alley on their motorcycle. In deep water, sound carries over a broader range from frequencies, from low to high frequencies. Just a broader range than there is in shallow water, especially when the bottom is soft sediment as opposed to, say, rock or sand. The lateral line is only effective within a few body lengths for the bass. And beyond that, they rely heavily on their hearing, the inner ear. But within that close range that the scientists call it the near range, that lateral line is very effective. It's just that it's not made for long range. Environmental factors such as the water depth, that's huge for the bass. We need to make different acoustic choices in deep water than we do in shallow water, just because bass can hear better in deep water. In the deep water, the bass can probably hear across their entire acoustic range what they're physically capable of hearing, as opposed to shallow water, where it's likely that hearing range is curtailed by the environment, by the environmental factors that's affecting them. And I say probably unlikely because there's even though this Dr. Jones guy and other people have done studies too, even though there have been studies on bass, they're still studying bass. We still don't know all that there is to know. There's still some stuff that we're still saying, well, based on this is probably likely. Based on this is probable. Okay, so that's why I do that. And here's something I found interesting, but not interesting enough to go and find out the why of it. But but low frequency sounds tend to die out faster near the surface. Okay, so something like a buzzbait you're running across the surface, those sounds might not carry as far as we thought. They might not attract bass from as far away. Okay. Another environmental factor that can come into play is background noise, and noise by definition is unwanted sensory stimuli, like this. Okay. Another really good example of for today is the fan. When I don't have this noise canceling microphone on my person, or my shirt actually, or it's not turned on, I've done that before too, it doesn't cancel out the sound of the fan. So it makes it harder for you guys to hear my voice because we have noise, unwanted sensory stimuli. Um, before a bass can find its prey, it must first isolate the sensory stimuli that their prey is giving off. And they need to isolate it from all the other sounds in the lake. Well, as it happens, bass are pretty darn good at doing that. Um, they they can do the same thing that we do. We block out our brains block out, just totally disregard. Like if you listen to this, I think I've used this analogy before. Listen to the same song more than 2 or 3 times. You know, like for me, it's if I listen to the same, try to listen to it 3 times, I don't even really hear it the third time. Um, I don't hear it as well the second time as I did the first time. It's harder to pay attention to, and that's just natural for our brains to do that. Um, as humans, we depend heavily on frequency and rhythm to analyze sounds. Okay, whereas a bass uses rhythm, and low frequency sounds are a complement to the rhythm for the bass. And we'll go back to music here to compare this, our abilities to the bass. We can appreciate a full symphonic orchestra. They have drums, they have all kinds of different wind instruments, they have stringed instruments, and we can appreciate all of that put together like that. Whereas a bass would be more likely to appreciate, say, a duet between a kettle drum and a tuba. All right, a lot of the symphonic orchestra would be lost on a bass. Okay, so that's another thing we can look at when we choose acoustic lures to fish with. Um, but regardless of how a bass gets the job done, and part of this I'm going to actually read from my notes because I want to make sure I get it right. We can reasonably assume that bass associate specific sound patterns with specific prey. Okay. Swimming schools of bait fish make different sounds than a crayfish crawling along the bottom or swimming along the bottom with his tail, right? Um, and those bait fish and the crawdads, they don't produce random sounds, right? Their acoustic outputs are organized into structured patterns of on-off beats, rises and falls in pitch, sound intensity modulations, and defined frequency ranges. Okay, um, and bass are really adept at hearing those types of things, right? So somehow we have to figure out how to know what our baits, our various baits, what kind of sounds they're producing. Are they producing a pitch a frequency rather, that the bass can actually hear? You know, I don't know. I don't know how to tell that yet. Um, so for now, for me, that would just be trial and error. Which sounds do they hear, which don't they hear? But maybe that's something I'll look into with you guys at the end of the book once the book's all done. Maybe that's one of the things we'll do. But we'll definitely be making baits on the channel with the things while keeping in mind the things we've learned from the book. Okay, sound, sight, smell. We'll figure out all. We'll try to make baits that combine all of those elements, and shape too, by the way, that combine all of those elements into something that hopefully the bass will just go nuts over. I'll be able to take it to a lake that's heavily fished, has a lot of fishing pressure, and just impress everybody with all the fish I'm catching. we can dream, right? We can dream. um, but with that said, um, if you liked what you saw, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed already, will you please subscribe? I found another way. There's another way to monetize the channel. Way it's not ad revenue, but it's 500 subscribers, which we have since morning. It was 754, I believe, and about 1,422 hours watched. Well, with 500 subscribers and 3,000 hours watched over the last 12 months, we're a little ways from that. I will be allowed to have people become members of the channel and support the channel monetarily that way. And I'll also be able to put up merchandise links in the description. So you guys can probably, well, I'm pretty sure what I'm going to do is, here it is, it's right here. Is have them, whichever company I choose, will put this logo. Oops, just do it like this here. We'll put this logo on mugs, T-shirts, hats, stuff like that. So, so that'll be another way we can do that. So I'm a little closer to that than I thought I was to monetizing. 1,000 hours closer. But oh, and share the videos too, as always. That helps too. It helps other people see it. They subscribe, whatnot. Don't need to explain that to you guys at this point, I guess. But until next time, folks, tight lines, calm waters, and God bless.